Hey, so welcome back everyone. Here we are. I'm in the garage again. It is the depth of winter, but we're going to give you more of our Black Hills adventure. Today we are going to go on Iron Mountain Road and Needles Highway. Tell you a little bit about the roads and what we thought of them and some of the places that we went to eat, and we thought we'd bring you along on this adventure that we did. So hopefully you get a little bit of information out of this if you're planning on taking a trip to the Black Hills. It's some great riding up there, and we would strongly suggest you go and enjoy it, whether you go during the rally or not during the rally. Either way, it's some great riding. So we'll go to that video now. Okay, so here we stand at the start of, oh man, losing track of the days. This will be our fourth day. Yep. So here we stand at the start of the fourth day. Today we're going to do two epic rides. Plan to ride the Iron Mountain Road, and then we plan to ride Needles Highway. Finally, Needles Highway. Yesterday we had to get new tires on my bike. As you can see, they look a lot better than the tires we had on it yesterday. Rode the road from Rapid City to Sturgis yesterday, and they worked great. So no more feeling like I'm sliding all over the road. So we'll bring you along for the adventures today. Thanks for joining us. So here's a look at our adventure for the day. We started out going down Iron Mountain Road and a short little left-hand turn right after we left out of Keystone. Initially, when we turn on to this road, there are a couple of signs that we ran across telling us a little bit about it being closed for the winter, and also the aspect that large vehicles are not advised on this road, and the speed limit's only 25 miles an hour. Those were a little bit eye-openers as to what we were getting into. Then I saw this one that said tunnel clearances ahead. That kind of surprised me. I hadn't done research on Iron Mountain Road before we went. I just knew it was one of the roads that they said that you should go on. So if you're planning on going on Iron Mountain Road and haven't, here's some stats for you. Iron Mountain Road is 17 miles long, has 314 curves, 14 switchbacks, 3 pigtails, 3 tunnels. You see Mount Rushmore, and there's 2 splits in the road. But again, like I said, I didn't know much about the road going into it, so each one of the new things that we came across was a little bit of a surprise to me. But it was a really fun road. We enjoyed riding it, and as we came up into the area here where they block off the road for winter, we ran across this sign, and I was like, whoa, what's this? And then all of a sudden we ran across this bridge. I was like, this is cool. And then saw the little 15 mile an hour switchback. And then as we started coming around the road, this is the pigtail. This is what a pigtail is, where you turn around on top of yourself. And that was pretty cool. I was like, wow, this is awesome. So another thing to note about these roads are, if you notice, you can kind of see a little bit of gravel in the roads. They add that into the asphalt, which is something different than what we have in my home state of Nebraska. Makes the road a little bit rougher, somewhat. But I was really impressed overall with the condition of the roads up here in South Dakota. They were wonderfully cared for. There wasn't a lot of cracks and breaks in the road. It was a great riding experience overall, all the way through. From the pigtails to the switchbacks to the grade to the tunnels. It was all just a really one of a kind, pretty cool riding experience for a couple of flatlanders. Then when we hit this one lane tunnel, I was like, what? Because we hadn't gone through any tunnels other than that big, huge tunnel by Keystone. And so when we rolled up on this one, I was trying to enjoy the scenery, and then all of a sudden I was like, whoa, this is awesome. So when we came out of the first tunnel, I was still kind of pretty mesmerized by the whole experience. And then all of a sudden we started coming up on this area where it said that the road was going to split. I was like, what? And then we went off on this little road where it was just us and the trees on either side. And I was like, this is like Little Red Riding Hood off riding in the forest to Grandma's house. You know, the coolest thing about Iron Mountain Road is even though you're doing some of the same things over and over again, 314 curves and 3 pigtails, it was such a variety back and forth that it never got old, and it felt like every turn was different. And this pigtail was especially cool because at the end of it, at the end of turning around on yourself, suddenly you're going through not just one, but 2 rock tunnels. And at the end of it, we could see Mount Rushmore, which you can't see in this because of the way the little GoPro cameras are, but it was a pretty cool experience. Then eventually, you know, we got up to the top of Iron Mountain Road, and we went from north to south on the road. So as we were coming down on this area of the road, there was the signs that tell you there's a X number of grade decline, which was kind of a neat experience, especially when we're going through all these switchbacks and then looking over to the side and seeing the big drop-offs and the big other parts of the Black Hills, the mountains and that off in the distance. And then eventually we came out into this clearing area. You could kind of tell we were towards the end of the Iron Mountain Road, and we knew that we were getting close to Custer State Park. So when you come into Custer State Park, you have to pay $10 per motorcycle, and then that allows you to go through the park for a week. Custer State Park is the area where most of the buffaloes are, so there's a wildlife area that she's showing us here that goes all the way around, and then up here is the area she's showing us where Needles Highway is. So you not only get to go around Custer State Park animal area, you can also ride Needles Highway multiple times in that week's period. So then we rolled off through Custer State Park. It's a pretty wide open area, and we got to see the buffalo, but the buffalo were pretty far away from us. So if you've ever got to watch our friends, the Blacktop Devils, they got to experience the bison in a completely up and close and personal way in their 2020 Sturgis videos. It would be their 3rd video. You can check out the link up above and see the full thing. But here's a little bit of some clips of the experience they got to have with the buffaloes this last year at Custer State Park.
He didn't give a
So we encourage you to go check out the Blacktop's content, and we'll get back to our ride. So we continued on through Custer State Park over multiple cattle crossings that kind of keep the animals in there. And then eventually we came across some beautiful wide open spaces And then we were back into the areas where we had signs for sharp curves ahead and to slow our speed down. And then we knew we must be getting close to Needles Highway, which was a lot of fun. But before we got to that part, we came across an outlook area where we got off the bikes and hiked up to check out the Black Hills. And then we got back on our bikes and we headed on to Needles Highway, which Needles kind of begins with a lot of trees, which is probably why it's called Needles Highway. And we rode the road from east to west. So as we got up closer to the top of Needles Highway, we started coming across a whole bunch of different lookout areas where people stopped along to get some cool pictures. So we stopped to get our patented pictures. And this has been one of my most favorite pictures I've ever taken with my bike. But we continued to head on down the trail. And if you've ever been through Needles, or if you're planning to go through Needles, as you get up closer and higher to the Spiral Cathedral trailhead area into the Needles Eye Tunnel, the traffic gets a lot heavier. And if you're on a bike, you need to keep your wits about you. Don't be trying to do things like I did there, where I had one hand off of the handlebars trying to take video with a separate camera. Get your GoPro set up right and then just ride it. Keep your head on a swivel, know what you're doing. Because some of these corners are some blind corners, and you don't see who's coming around until right at the last second. And I kind of show you here some of the video that I did where I was using the camera with my hand off the handlebars and trying to get good footage, really good footage, and it didn't quite work out quite so well. So as you can see, the footage wasn't quite the epicness that I was going for, and honestly, it could have cost me my life if I wouldn't have been as slow as I was riding. So keep good safety when you're riding your bikes. You can see here we stopped off right before Needles Eye, and there was a mountain goat up there that everybody had stopped to take pictures for. So there was a big long line. So we stood back, way back, and took some pictures and took some video before we headed up there to go through the Needles Eye Tunnel. Still, even when we got up here, there was still kind of a traffic jam. So we decided we weren't gonna wait for them to finish getting their pictures, and decided we would go around them. And that was when we got to see what they had actually stopped for, and this is kind of one of the premier parts of our intro video for the last couple years. Mountain goat on the mountainside there. And then we waited for our chance to go through the Needles Tunnel. So this is the iconic Needles Eye Tunnel that mostly you see from the other direction. So where we come out is where usually this footage starts for most people, is from right here where all these motorcycles are. You see pictures, you see video from this way going back through it the other way. So there's a view for you of it coming the opposite way to what you probably normally see. So then we continued our way down Needles Highway through all the curves. This was probably the curvier area of Needles Highway on the northwest section of the highway. And eventually we came out to a point where we took a left-hand turn and kind of started curving back down to the south, out through the wide open area, and we came into the town of Custer. And this was the town we were originally going to stay in before we decided to stay in Keystone. So we rode around a little bit, checked out the town, figured out where we could go eat, and we wound up going to Mount Rushmore Brewing and the Pounding Fathers Restaurant, which was really good food. And then we went out and we rode around a little more, and Noah made a video for his Snapchat story, and we wound up riding around a little more and ended the night again with one of our patented rides through the big tunnel by Keystone. Really want to thank you for joining us on this Black Hills Adventure series that we did. We look forward to doing some more travel videos in this coming year. So if you like the content, subscribe. Also put in the comments, let us know what things you'd like to see and where you'd like to see us go. Thanks a lot for joining us, and until next time, keep the sunny side up, keep the rubber side down, and have an utterly awesome day.